Are you one of those people that says, I can never save any money? Are you struggling to pay off debt each month? Do you perhaps know that you're spending more money on things like food and clothes than you perhaps should? Hello, welcome to this short video where I'm going to be talking to you about managing your money and starting to save using the POTS method. My name's Birch and I'm an independent financial advisor. Let's get into it. What's the first step in creating your financial plan? Well, the first step is looking at your finances. And to do that, let's grab your bank statement. I prepared one over here. Let's look at what you're spending each month. Of course, we've got your salary coming in, but let's look at the detail. You've got your essential expenditure. Those are the things that you need every month to live. That's things like your rent, mortgage, heat, light, and some food. But let's examine some of the other spending that you're doing. Your lifestyle spending, let's call it. This is more food, this is clothes, and this is the things that you enjoy doing with your friends. But are you spending more on this than you perhaps should? To work this out, we need to put these spending into categories. I've done that over here to break it down so that we can see quite simply where we might be overspending. I can see now that my guilty pleasure is spending far too much money on food. So that's going down to the garage at lunch rather than buying food at the supermarket and creating lunch. It's a balance between enjoying the nice things and saving some money along the way. If you're finding it difficult to examine your bank statements and work out your essential and lifestyle spending, let me know. I've got a spreadsheet that can help you categorise the spending that you're doing and break it down for you. So now we've worked out that I've been spending too much money on food, it's about working out how much you can save. You don't want to stretch yourself too far, so I don't want to save all the money that I was spending on food, but it's making sure that you can start with something that's comfortable. It's a bit like getting fit. You've got to start today, and you're not going to start by running a marathon. So we've assessed where we can cut back on our lifestyle spend to start saving some money. But what if you've got debt? Well, there's two types of debt, what you consider good debt and bad debt. Good debt where you've got an asset behind the money that you're paying. This could be car finance and or a mortgage. If anything went wrong with that debt, you could sell the asset and pay off most of, if not all of the debt. Bad debt is things like store cards. You've bought some appliances and or clothes using store cards and you're being charged a high rate of interest on your borrowing. It's best to pay these off first. So where we've assessed that we can cut some cost, use this saving first to pay off the debt, but don't stop saving afterwards. So now we've worked out how much we might want to save each month. How are we going to do that? Well, as I said earlier, we're going to use something called the POTS method. The POTS method is using a separate bank account where you're sending this money you're going to save each month and letting it build up where it's out of sight, out of mind. Forget your PIN number for your card and don't have online banking. So here you are at work. You're doing your job and at the end of the month your employer sends some tax to HMRC and if you're lucky enough they put some money into your pension for you. You get your wages and that goes into your nominated current account. From here, we've now decided that the first thing you're going to do when you get paid is put that £80 or whatever the figure is into pot number one, your emergency savings fund. From there, you pay your essential expenditure that you need to be able to live. And what's left in your current account is for your lifestyle fund. You might find in future that your lifestyle fund doesn't need to be as big as it perhaps was and you can start to save more into your pot number one. It's important to save this money as soon as you get paid. The reason your current account isn't a pot is because it's quite leaky. The money comes in each month when you get paid and it's far too easy to see it there and spend it on those lifestyle things that you have in the past. So we've been saving this money in our emergency fund in pot one. How much do we need to save there? Well, that's going to differ for each individual person, but typically it'd be 3 months' wages. So why do we need this emergency fund? We're saving it, but what's it for? Well, think of this. You're driving your car and you have a puncture. You go to the garage and they're going to charge you £120 for a new tyre. Well, the garage isn't going to offer you credit terms. You need to pay for that tyre there and then. What are you going to do if you haven't got that savings fund? Once we've saved 3 months' wages, what do? Well, I suggest we put a lid on that pot and we move to pot number 2. So pot number 2 is your purpose pot. This is a savings that you're going to build up for a reason. So that might be a car, a laptop, whatever it might be. You are saving this in cash because it's a near purchase that you're going to make. This is your guilt-free pot that you're saving some money for a reason, and once you've built up the amount that you need, you should spend that. However, it's worth remembering that your emergency fund is 3 months' wages. If you have an emergency, for example like the tyre earlier, you need to dip into that emergency fund. That emergency fund is no longer 3 months' wages, and so in this case we need to take some money from our purpose pot to top back up our emergency fund to 3 months. Once we've done that, we can carry on saving our £80 into pot number 2, our purpose pot. Why might it be a problem saving too much money in cash? Once we've got our emergency fund and our purpose pot, and we haven't necessarily needed to buy anything or haven't had an emergency, what do? Well, the reason this can be a problem is because of something called inflation. What is inflation? To put it simply, inflation is the percentage increase in the cost of goods and services each year. So this year it was 1.5% that the price of goods and services has increased. That's an average. So why might holding too much cash be an issue for you? Well, inflation at 1.5% is eroding the buying power of your money. You're not getting much return on your cash in the bank account where interest rates are 0.1%. This means that if you were to go out and use your cash in the shops, what you might be able to buy today will be different tomorrow. This means that you'll need more cash to go and buy the same value good next year. Well, let's look at this example of the price of a pint of beer. Back in May '89, it cost you just over £1 for 1 pint. Today, it's risen to £3.69. So if we look at inflation over the next 10 years to 2030, it's estimated that it could cost you closer to £4.50 for a pint of beer. That's the difference between buying you 21 pints today or 18 pints in the future. Now, whilst that might not sound a lot, let's look at something like a car. You're saving your cash each month for a car, and that car is going to cost you £4,500 today. But in 2030, if we use the same inflation rate, that same spec car might cost you more like £5,200. So if you're saving all your money in cash, the value of your cash is going backwards in comparison to the value of that car. So how can we combat against inflation? Well, historically, the only way to do that has been to invest your money. There are many different ways to invest your money, and that's perhaps for a different video. But I would encourage you to log in and look at your auto-enrolment pension. Much the same way that we've just looked at our bank statement, log in and look at your pension, see what it's doing for you. So to summarise, we've pulled off your bank statement and looked at what you've been spending each month. We've realised that we've been spending too much money in certain areas, and so we're going to start to save some of that money. We're going to save that immediately when we get paid, and we're going to do so in pot number 1. Pot number 1 is our savings account. Once we've built up 3 months' wages in our emergency fund, we're going to start our pot number 2. That's our purpose pot. We've got a goal, a short-term goal that we're saving for. Once we've got to that goal, we might purchase what we're looking for, or we might leave the cash there for another day. Once we've built up more cash than we need in pots 1 and 2, we're going to look to open pot 3. Pot 3 is our investment pot. And with our investment pot, we're going to look to match or outpace inflation so that the value of our money is increasing in excess of or matching the value of price increases each year. So what are we trying to do here? Well, we're trying to get you to look at your finances and understand where you've been spending money. You perhaps know that you've been spending more than you should, but now let's look at it and start to save some money for the future. It might be that you start on this journey and it becomes a good saving habit and you enjoy it. You might find that you can cut more cost and save more money. Starting your financial plan is about assessing your finances. Your longer term financial planning is about monitoring them, having these pots in place to meet your goals in life, and using the products like cash investments and your pension to meet your lifestyle and save money at the same time. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you found it useful. Please feel free to raise any questions. I'll gladly answer as many as I can for you.